All right, so this meeting will come to order. This is June 25th. 2024 Development Review Board agenda for this evening is we have two items. One is the continuation of the Willow Well Foundation conditional use permit. And Joel Bouvier is here for sketch plan review of a 5-lot subdivision. Sketch plan's really quick. So Joel, let's take you first, get you out of the way. And then we'll look at the new materials that came in this afternoon. From Willow. Okay, Joel, so we have. So we got 5 lots go off of Pine Street. Yeah, not one. This is where the house BR. Is this BR? High density. It's HDR? Yeah. Okay. No, big one. No, this is fine. For sketch plan. So. Okay, so Joel, you want to just give us a overview of the proposed project?
Well, let me start with this. This is what the area view is right here, and then here is the tax map is right here, the first one. You guys all have a copy of this whole sketch. This is the street here, and this is where the old house sits right here presently.
Okay.
So that's right away the road.
So northeast.
Yeah, right here. The
South
old barn is here,
southeast
there's a
corner.
barn here,
Yeah.
and a barn down back that you can't hardly see
Mhm.
on lot 3. Lot 1, we plan on cleaning out the house, putting new system, heating system in it, and renting it for a few years just to pay down the mortgage, just to pay down till we sell lots. We want to the 3 water lines you'll see running through lot 1's down to 4, 3, and 5, 4 and 5. The 3 water lines, that it's a 50-foot right away down through there. 22 feet of it will be a road to a circle in the middle to turn around.
Yeah.
Lot 2 will have a water line down in that corner, so we'll have 4 taps off Pine Street and put in for a water. Water commission.
Yeah. So so the tap is on the south side of Pine Street. The water line that you're tapping.
Yeah, it runs down.
South side?
Well, no, it runs right down the center of the road. That's why.
Oh, okay.
It's.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
I see that now. Okay.
Lot 1 already has a brand new tap from last October's water line replacement.
Okay.
So, and then the dotted line, you'll see from the power pole to the center to the right of way, and then down to the lots 5, 4, and 3, the intersection that underground box is going to be, well, that's not going to be underground, the wire will be underground. But the electrical box will be right there, all 3 owners will own that box. So they'll all dig to that for their house lot.
Okay, so the right of way is gonna be located on 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Correct.
It's gonna be
Right.
straddle that basically.
Right.
And so it's gonna be easements there for everybody. So we got 10,000 square foot minimum lot size, so these are all 0.3 and up. Greater than 0.3, so we're okay there. You're gonna be able to meet setbacks without.
LaRose has already done perk test before I made him an offer.
Yeah.
Back in March, and have all the soil tested good, and Kevin sees no problem with any designing them all for 3 lots. Or
And
3
getting the house site
Yes.
far enough off the property lines. Okay.
I mean, Chris had mentioned to me that this could support 6 lots, but Kevin said that gets dicey, and then you've got to do shared systems.
Yeah.
Go just 5.
Yeah. So you don't need a PUD because you can meet all the setbacks, so. So one thing I usually gotta get Brett LaRose to sign off, or just give us some, that he's happy with the turnaround,
Okay,
you know,
Mhm.
so.
there is a hydrant right on lot 2. You can see it there. They got identified.
Right, but if there's a fire down on lot
Right.
5, the fire trucks are gonna have, you wanna be able to have the travel way enough to pass 2 emergency vehicles. So. Any questions for Joel? The only issue for us tonight is it a major or minor? It's more than 3 lots, so it's a major, which means 2 hearings.
Yep.
So this is,
Brenda's got something.
yeah, Brenda,
I can never figure out, which of the village, areas this is in. Is this,
HDR, it's high density
which-
residential.
Sorry?
HDR,
HDR? Okay, thank you. And, it looks like there's quite a big slope down over the side of the hill. Is that, I assume you've taken that into account, or is it as big a slope as it looks?
It's not as big as it looks. In my excavator, it said we can move some soil around a little bit. When he puts the road in, it's a little bit of a slope right in here down to this
it
one,
drops down.
a little
to the
bit,
north.
but I've been mowing it for years for her, and like I said, this. I was approached at her gravesite service that the executor said, I heard Carolyn said you were interested in buying her property when she passes, and so. This is how it started.
So just how you draw it.
But it's not so steep, you can.
No.
Can't put,
No. It's not so that steep, no.
Right.
I've been mowing it and it's fine.
So it's gonna be, town water and 5 in-ground septics.
5 in-ground septics, yeah,
No, none of them need to share.
right, none of them need to share.
Where are you on the wastewater permit?
Kevin is working on that.
So has it been filed yet and we're waiting, or is not filed?
That I don't know, I believe it's been filed, he's hasn't completely, he's dug about 8 or 9 test holes.
Okay.
He's gotta do one more for the back of the house, replacement for that.
Any other questions for Joel? Sketch plan is to begin to flesh out issues that the board might want to see addressed if it's not already reasonably clear from the application.
Yeah, I would get with Brett sooner than later, make sure that you're wide enough going in and out and turning around, so he can be okay with that,
Okay,
approve that.
Good deal.
yeah, I mean, when we meet again on the second one, will the septic systems already be all approved and everything?
It's gonna be 2 hearings.
Right, and
Yeah,
the
so-
second one, will that all be included?
Kevin's out of town this week.
It's hard to know. It'll be a condition that be obtained.
We've met with the
I
water.
didn't know on certain slopes, you can't put a system in, but I just don't know.
He didn't give me any recollection in March when we dug them in early March.
Mhm.
We dug them. Because I said, if you find any of them, it's kind of a mound system and walk away.
Yeah, it wouldn't be now, but on a certain slope, you
He
can't,
said, no,
you can't put in a leach field.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's still, the state works slow and it's pending.
Oh, yeah,
So
no, I
what,
understand that.
so what we would do is, make that a permit condition. That has to be obtained before before anything can be done. And so if it doesn't happen, if you can't fulfill the condition,
Right,
it's nicer to have it in hand when he comes in for the second hearing. Now we can say, yeah, here's the wastewater permit, and then I can refer to it.
yeah,
I do know, meeting with the water commissioners, this one, because this street's gonna get ground up about the middle of July. And
To to put the new coat on, right?
Right, and leave it like that for about a month, and then right after Labor Day, they're gonna pave the street. And I don't wanna be the first one to
Cut it.
cut into the brand new pavement.
Yeah, usually that happens.
They're gonna give me a
the first week
conditional
after.
Water permit, they said last night, we'll give you a conditional water
Yeah.
easement.
So many
I could get
times you
these
see
in off
that,
the road.
the paint's just drying and somebody's coming in to cut the blacktop.
It is only gonna be a base coat for a year, and then they're gonna
Yeah.
put another 1.5 inches over it next year, so, but
Okay,
not a huge.
not a huge deal breaker, but.
okay. Anything else for Joel? All right, it's, we don't need.
Oh,
to-
Brenda again.
Yeah, Brenda, thank you.
Just have a question. So this is a straightforward, you're going to sell each lot. And then the person goes and builds a house on it. You're not planning the houses and all
The
that
building
sort of
days
stuff.
are over, Brenda. No, I have no desire to build a house. I'm gonna just sell the lots.
Okay, just checking.
And it's not a PUD or PRD, they've got enough. Lot minimum, they meet the minimum lot size, so they don't need that extra organization. All right, any other questions for Joel? All right, so it's minutes will reflect that it's a major subdivision, we don't need to vote on that because it's required. By definition, so there'll be 2 hearings. And when the application. You already have a complete application? Yes. Yeah,
Yes, I sent that.
okay,
This
all right, so you can,
this is a copy of it.
okay, so you've got to, you've worn it.
Yep.
And be good if it, well, you've got to get the warning out, so maybe we hit the fourth Tuesday in July?
So the 25th.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, we've got enough time for notice.
23rd, but yeah,
23rd.
yeah, you should be fine with that.
Okay, so it'll probably
I can do that.
easier to get the warning out and I don't know if we have anything else on that night, right?
About a minute.
Well, just ask for question, after that second one will be a final 2 weeks after that, because I won't.
No, what, it wouldn't.
It'll be
August
minimum
6th.
4 weeks
So,
out.
yeah. 'cause
It'll
we-
be a minimum
we
four.
Warn it again in 14 days. No.
Okay, I won't be, I'll be out of town this, the
Yeah.
first week of August.
When, normally, all we need is 2, in extreme case when there's controversy, you sometimes end up with a continued hearing, but I don't think we, that's pretty darn rare.
We do plan on paving the first 25 feet of the road, so when the car stops to come out in the traffic.
That's been it,
Maintenance.
And how many feet is the road gonna go in total? From the street and back there?
About 124 feet. Then go off the lots 3 and 4, and then that short one will go into their lot 5.
Okay. All right. Next up is Willowell, continuation of the hearing that was sometime in May. April 24th, I think it was April 24th. Wow. All time flies. All right, oh. You wanna? All right, so what am I looking at, AZ? Let's,
You're looking, I mean, I put one for you in your mailbox because I know you like the 11.
right, so,
This is the broad view and then the one underneath it is
yeah,
the
so I
updated.
just wanna make
site
sure I'm
plan.
looking at the right one here.
We did bring a couple full-size 24 by 36 sheets if
Sure.
anyone's eyes are as bad as mine.
This is the map here.
Yeah.
The updated
But the screen. So we do have large paper, just if you ask.
Yeah.
So you wanna, walk us through what's,
Yes.
finalized?
Yes, so,
I know it's been a moving target.
yes, thank you. So, again, for the record, Scott Baker, with Farman Jarvis, and here with, Tasha Ball, Willowell, and also Jason Barnard. And, so again, we're here again, 8 weeks after we last met, and, firstly, thank you to the board for kind of accommodating us with this process. AZ has been wonderful, and Chris as well. And when we left off 8 weeks ago, we walked away with some feedback from the board and a couple of big questions on the wetlands and stormwater. And
We talked about parking a lot. Yeah.
exactly, and how the big question for us was how the wetlands the stormwater permit and the parking would all dovetail together, knowing that the roadway is already permitted and the building was in, so we had certain kind of fixed constraints and other variables to work with. So after we left you 8 weeks ago, the first thing we did is went out and we had the wetlands in the adjoining lands, just down the hill to the west of the lot 3 boundary there, delineated. That line appears on the we don't need to flip to it now, but you can see that the wetland boundary line, and as AZ is highlighting there, that is the 50-foot wetland buffer line right there. The other part of that was that was happening behind the scenes is that our stormwater engineer Brad Washburn had been in contact with the state stormwater department, both Kevin Burke and Aaron Ferraro, to discuss how the Willowwell project as a school could be permitted as part of a 16-lot PUD that was originally permitted with an old residential credit that no longer kind of applies. They don't use it. So there were conversations back and forth behind the scenes with our engineer and the state engineers, and they were successful in agreeing on the Willowwell parcel lot 3 being permitted as a separate stormwater permit, a separate 3-9050 permit, without it impacting the remainder of the subdivision, which of course is Aaron Thomas's concern as part of the overall PUD. So
It's a standalone lot for stormwater purposes.
yes,
All right,
so
give me that permit number again. You said you had.
it's the stormwater general permit, it's called a 3-9050. This stormwater permit for the PUD has already been issued, so it has a specific number, and I don't recall it off the top of my head.
Okay,
I think it's 5615-9050. But there's a specific 4-digit code at the start.
okay,
It's for this one, but it has been issued for the whole project. That was part of the Act 250
all right,
permit being reissued last year. So we had to go through and get all of those permits, the water, wastewater, stormwater. So this would be an amendment to that would treat the lot 3 parcel as its own standalone permit.
okay,
No longer tied to those old residential credits, and in a way that does not affect the adjoining residential lots. So it took us some time to get to this arrangement because we were hoping to be in here 2 weeks ago. And that was right around the time where the wetlands delineation had come in, we got the buffers in, and based on the site plan that we had looked at last time, the only option was to have an offsite stormwater basin on the remaining lands. Spaces is limited there, and it wasn't a great fit. That southwest corner, we had spaces tucked down on the lower side of the drive, right into that corner, and it was just too much crammed into that corner to get the water back to the north. Oh, thank you, AZ, exactly. So you see in this version here, the pink grading lines are the new ones that our engineer had shown to say, here's how you can accommodate the site plan that we looked at with the board 8 weeks ago. But it consumed pretty much the whole usable space all the way down at the bottom of that slope. So there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of conveyance there for minimal treatment. So what was really hurting the design, putting pressure on the design, were those lower spots in that crammed down in that southwest corner. That was there, of course, as an attempt to, as we discussed, to save the trees. You know, because our overarching design directive here is to provide a school for Wren's Nest Forest Preschool. Okay, the goal is not to provide the best parking lot we can possibly engineer. So, you know, as the designers, we're stuck with that a little bit. And one thing they added to this site plan here was the existing tree line. It's that clouded line. It's hard to see at the scale. but actually, this on the worksheet, it may not even be in there yet, is on the plans that I just sent to AZ today, but it just, as a reminder, that what we're trying to preserve are the trees that are to the, kind of to the east, northeast of the building. You know, we don't want that to be a parking lot. So that's that, you know, the way that we amended the site plan to make this work, just to kind of wrap this up here, is those 8 or 9 spots that were problematic in the corner. We basically swung those around to be more in front of the building. You know, this isn't like Main Street where having parking in front of the building is an anti-urban condition here. I don't think these are going to be really filled most of the time, and it's not a streetscape. So this gives a really efficient layout with almost no impact to that tree line. And here you can see that clouded line there about 10 feet off the porch. And that kind of, you know, just kind of peters out there right where it gets to the walkway. And so all those trees in that kind of triangular part here get to be saved. We have a total of 9 gravel parking spaces, 8 gravel plus 1 accessible space with the 5-foot aisleway. Super efficient laid out. And I was telling AZ that, you know, I've done a lot of space planning in my time, and this was Plan G. This was the 7th plan that we resolved in considerable detail to try to find the optimal kind of configuration of the space so that cars could back out easily without having excessive gravel, you know, gravel areas that were just for back, you know, turning spaces, whatnot.
So these are all gravel in the yellow?
The yellow, yes.
Okay.
So that's intended to be the permanent part.
Including the handicap.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And there is a spot, it's called out for an
I see.
accessible parking space sign.
And then
right?
the hash mark to the right of that handicap spot, that, did you say that was paved or?
But no, so that does, so there's a note on there to the just to the right of there, the orange walkway that states that the dashed lines there are diagrammatical only because this is a gravel parking lot. So we're trying to show the spaces. The spaces there, those are all 9 by 18 parking spaces
Yeah.
with the sign. So this is how we've done it gravel.
But the one that's to the right of space number 4, is that also gravel?
Correct.
All right.
You're right. So that is that's the 5-foot wide accessible aisleway attributed to the 9 by 18 parking space. The intent is for that to be all gravel, but with the accessible sign to denote the accessible space. And that, yeah, and then just to wrap this up here, so what we gained by doing that is that having 9 spaces, which Willowwell tells us is what they need for morning drop off and afternoon pickup. What that gains is no more stormwater basin going down the slope into a basin at the bottom. And here's where this all fits together like a jigsaw puzzle really nicely. The stormwater treatment plan for this, thank you, AZ, just to the left of where the hand cursor is to have a forebay to use a gravel wetland system, which, so right just to the left of where AZ is saying, actually within the 25-foot setback, yeah,
Okay.
right in there,
Yeah.
where you'd have the forebay for gravel wetland. So the water from the building, from the site can all collect into the gravel, into the forebay right there. The pump station, as you see, comes into just over the building envelope. That's fine, it's underground, but where it necks down there happens to be about the perfect spot to have the spillway from the gravel wetland to the primary basin, which is shaped more like a hot dog than just a little circle. So exactly, so
Where's the primary basin?
yes, so the primary basin is basically exactly, thank you, Izzy, is between kind of north of that wastewater pump station, up northwards to the archaeological buffer.
But the wetland, or the gravel wetland.
The forebay is just south of the pump station, and then the gravel.
North of the driveway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and if I don't have a laser pointer, and I realize the folks who are zooming in can't see this, but it is that the water will be collected here, and then right here will be a forebay
Mhm.
as a collection basin here. Then there's a narrow spillway, which happens to coincide conveniently with the tank location. And then after that short spillway, right in here is the perfect shape and size for the gravel wetland. So we were kind of excited when I was talking to our engineer and he said, you can actually just about fit the gravel wetland in its two components right in these two shapes that are almost perfectly shaped for it. So that's the stormwater.
How big of an area is that?
This is 25 feet wide. And here you see this dimension is on here for the building envelope is 123 feet from here to here. And it slopes down like this. So these would be kind of almost benched in, so when you're up here in the school, you'd be looking right over them. And it's not a built up structure that you might see from down below. So again, we kind of breathed a sigh of relief when we saw this coming together in a way that could be for us really simplified.
So what's the pump station doing?
The pump station is for the wastewater system. So
where's that going?
So this pump station comes out through the force main here. And
Down the road?
exactly, and it goes down the road. And so there's a group of systems here. Those also, they've already been permitted by the state. This is the site plan that will be used also for
Okay,
the permitting, the wastewater permitting for the school.
so the wastewater crosses under the driveway
Mhm.
and then goes down the
And then,
road.
right, and
Area.
then.
I
right,
can't
so
remember
there's-
what the idea was in the initial application, doesn't matter. So now, all right,
No,
so we
that's-
see that.
That was
Okay.
actually it, that was the
That's-
original, that was the original permitted mound for that lot.
Okay.
Yeah, Alan Heisinger did it
Yeah, okay,
This one right
10
here.
or 15 years ago.
okay.
Correct.
We just have to do a simple amendment for the change in use. That
Okay,
System's already permitted.
And actually, the design flows for the school are actually lower, considerably lower than a single family residence. So that mound for a single family residence is oversized. But the tanks are already installed because, if this were not to be a school, it would be a house and that's where we go. But there's been no change to the wastewater design. The only line I've moved on here in a really long time is just adjusting where that force main pipe, might route.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But the pump station, all that stuff's already in.
correct, and that has not changed on the plans or location for a while. So those are, and so that, again, that's one of the constraints that, one of my first questions for engineer was, oh, do the tanks have to move? Right, in order for this to work, and that's when he said, Eureka, no, that tank is actually in the perfect spot. Right where you have that narrow, where it necks down, where you have a little transition from the forebay to the gravel wetland basin. And actually, as I was speaking with AZ, so AZ and I had spoken earlier today about this on the phone. But one thing I wanted to point out is that, so for the board, is that, again, with this entire property being subject to Act 250, we have our site plans that we're using, obviously, for the conditional use permit. These are the site plans that also will be submitted to Act 250. They need to be approved by Act 250.
So that's still pending. Active 50 is open.
Yes, so because I didn't want to go back to Act 250
Sure, no, it's chicken and egg.
until,
It's a seesaw.
exactly,
Going.
exactly.
Yeah, I know.
But we have everything teed up so that my next two calls, provided all this works, our stormwater engineer continues with the permit. This plan will go off to the formal submission to Division for Historic Preservation and Archaeology. They've already reviewed it by email back and forth, but we'll complete the official, there's an intake form that will complete. So this site plan is intended for wastewater permitting, Act 250 permitting, conditional use permitting, and then, as I was discussing with AZ, we have another project right now in Milton. That's a 10 lot subdivision for phase 1, 20 lots for phase 2, and we're actually very careful. We don't have any stormwater information. We don't even show a single culvert for 20 lot subdivision on our site plans, because they're all on the stormwater plans, which is part of, there's a state stormwater permit, state construction permit. And when we begin to show both of those, or some combination, mixing and matching, it opens the door for conflict between drawings if there's a revision down the road. So as we do in our other projects, there's no reference here to the culverts, the stormwater. That should let this plan remain as is, without having to, if we try to, hey, you had a culvert here that's 18 inches and it had to be bumped up to 24. Now you've got to revise 2 sets of drawings.
Yep.
So we found, particularly in, it's okay to blend them in smaller projects, but when you get into multiple permits, multiple state agencies, it's simpler and easier to keep track of all the paperwork this way. So, just again, to wrap this up, we feel like we've made some good headway here in the 8 weeks. We appreciate the time to get all this done. It's not a small task. But we're hoping that if the town is comfortable with the parking configuration, the layout, and of course the other discussions that we had on opening night here 8 weeks ago, outdoor lighting, other considerations, then we request that the board at least be open to approving this with a condition, of course, that the state stormwater permit be issued.
Mhm.
And of course, any other conditions that are appropriate.
You still have the parking spaces there on the way in?
Good, right?
Those are
The
all,
overflow.
those are all.
Correct, and we've kept those at 10. We talked the last time about possibly stretching that out to 11 or 12. And even with reducing the main parking area down to those 9, it was the consensus from Willowwell that is just not necessary, and that's grass parking anyway. It's not gravel, so you could, if there were an extra car, chances are they'd tuck in there, but just the 10 has not changed.
So Chris, do you remember what we decided for, do you know, 'cause you were here for the first one. What did we decide for parking requirement here? Cause it was one of those uses that isn't specified in our ordinance. And we gave some guidance in April 24.
It was whatever was on the number that they had in the original plan.
Yeah, was that 19 before, or was it more than that?
So what we presented originally 8 weeks ago was 14 spaces in that gravel area, yes. And at the time, we felt that it was certainly adequate and probably more than we needed. At the time when we were considering off-site stormwater treatment, thought, okay, well, let's get the spaces in there and get the water off-site. But as Willowell said, that's more parking than they need on a daily basis. Even with the overflow for events, am I saying that right?
I think it was 24 before.
Exactly, it's 14 plus 10, yes.
I think at one point we said 22 would also be okay.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
that's the number I remember.
Yeah,
everyone kind of
we were-
agreeing on.
Yeah, we were. It was a stream of consciousness discussion.
Yes.
So maybe Tasha, can you give us some testimony on why 24 is gonna work, or 19 is gonna work for parking?
Because we'll have between 15 and 18 students a day, and they get dropped off in an hour time frame. a roll of mailbox, so at any one time, there's usually 5 to 8 cars maximum there. Is what we've seen. I chatted with the teaching director and the staff. I'm in the office, doing the behind the scenes things, but just to check on what would fit for them, and that was what they came up with.
So 5 to 8 cars?
Yep, and then the overflow parking will be the staff parking.
So the 10 on the right.
Yeah. And that area is quite spacious and looks like it'll work well, really flat ground.
Any questions for Tasha about parking?
And we already have a legal easement on this for parking. It's already in writing.
For 10 spaces?
Yes.
But the overflow will become permanent parking for
Staff.
staff. So it's not like that's overflow and staff.
To have your 4 staff parking was at first 4 spots. And then
Yeah, how many staff do you have, Tasha?
We have usually on average 4 teachers.
And Kevin, everyone has been sworn in for.
No?
It's a continuation now.
That's, yes, I'll remind you, you're all still
So-
under oath.
Yes,
except for Jason.
Yes, I was thinking about, I didn't want to interrupt you before.
No, well, no, you're on, you have a standing order to interrupt me when I forget, which I always do. So I don't have a date on, are the plans you submitted this afternoon carrying a date?
they're dated today, June 25th.
All right. And so we've got S1, S2.
Yes, those would be the only.
Is that the extent of what's came in this afternoon? Yes.
Correct. There is a third sheet in the set, a detail sheet D1, but that has not changed.
D1,
Since last time, yes.
and that just gives the cross sections of the,
That has the
Upstate and stuff like that.
details, that has the water and wastewater system details, yes.
This one right here.
okay. All right, we spent a lot of time the first time on parking. Any other questions regarding parking from the board? Brenda, you good? Brenda's good, you good? Anybody?
Good.
Okay, anything else we need to go over before we go through the criteria? Any other questions from the board before we go through? No? All right, so this is conditional use review, which means we have to go through the general and specific criteria. The site-specific criteria are basically site plan for CU. First general criteria, well, the standard is whether the development as proposed will not result in an undue adverse impact on any of the following. First is capacity of community facilities. The conditional use will not overburden or exhaust existing or planned municipal facilities or services. Does anybody see an issue there? Okay, me neither. Conditional use may, next is character of the area. Conditional use may not by its nature, scale, or conduct cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area, as the area would exist if fully developed in accordance with the town plan. So the comparison, the standard, as with the Masterson situation made clear, is that you don't look at it just how much of a change from the present. It's if the area were fully developed the RA5 were fully developed in accordance with the town plan and the regs, would it be out of character then? Just remind me what lot the existing school is on.
We are currently tenants at Wild Ridge Farm at John Turner's.
Is that on this road?
It's over on, Sherman Lane, which is off of Harvey Road.
Yeah.
Super-
So is it, the turnoff comes before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So there's an existing school, preschool, right? In the general area on this, Harvey Road, is it about the same size or it's bigger?
Adding 3 spots a day.
Okay.
Just.
So roughly same size. Does anybody see any issue with character of the area? You good, Brenda? Okay, could be thumbs up. Traffic is next. The estimated traffic generated by the conditional use shall not exhaust or exceed the capacity of the road to accept increased traffic unless the applicant agrees to a condition requiring a road upgrade. So is Harvey Road public or private?
It's a public road that the school presently uses on a daily basis. Right?
It's public up until the Thomas subdivision, and then it goes
That
private.
is private there, okay.
So
And so the existing preschool is on the public, has outlets onto the. Ultimately hits the public portion of Harvey Road.
Has road frontage on that.
And sure, it's on the corner.
Yeah, so this one is further in and hits Harvey Road on the private portion of Harvey Road.
Yeah.
And so, and you've got 3 more student spots in this school as compared to the existing, is that right?
Say it again, I'm
You
sorry.
have 3 more, just, you have, the school's capacity is enlarging by 3.
3 per day.
Okay. Does anybody, see any issue with traffic? Okay. Next is number 4, conditional use must comply with regulations in effect at the time of the submission of the application. These criteria come from state statute. I always thought this was a silly one, but.
Yep.
Anyway, it's a conditional use in the RA5. It's meets the other requirements of RA5. Does anybody see any issue with number 4, compliance with regs? You're gonna have to comply with the other regs as you know. Right, and you know, there'll be a certificate. Well, you plan,
We're a licensed preschool, so we have
Right.
pretty rigorous.
right, and the building is built, right, and rehabbed on the inside and that's all done?
It's going to be,
Okay, so it's not done yet, but you're in process.
yeah, completion date soon.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, renewable energy resources conditional use shall not excessively inhibit or restrict access or the use of renewable natural resources. Including but not necessarily limited to water, sun, and sunlight for energy generation. Never seen an issue yet on any application that does that. Anybody have an issue there? Or questions? Okay. That brings us on to section 356 site specific criteria, which is for CU. Conditional use is essentially site plan. Applicant shall demonstrate that the circulation between the site and the street network is adequate to accommodate the proposed traffic, so. We've got 5 to 8 at a time. What did you tell me the student capacity was, 19? 18. So we got 18 students. Getting dropped off and picked up, and we have 4 staff people, so we've got 22 trips in and out, so 44 trips a day, vehicle trips, right? A day. Anybody see an issue there? And you've got a handicap spot, you've got a walkway for the handicap spot, you've got 9 spaces in front of the building, which should accommodate most of the time the drop-offs with the kids. Which makes sense, you want them close and to the building.
And if I could just point out another design directive that we've been working with for the pedestrian connections that you see is doing this in a way that you'll never have to have a child get out of the car and walk across a parking lot where the car is backing out. So in every spot you can go forward and you have a safe walkway to get around without cars
So
and
the-
pedestrians backing.
So the pink shading is the walkways.
Yes,
Design feature.
Is that?
but that's something might
I
not
said
be,
it was a not intentional design feature for safety.
right, it might not be self-evident just reading the plan, but it was something that we've
that makes a lot of
obviously tried
sense.
to incorporate.
But
Yep.
that's also gravel, right? You're not paving that.
walkway.
Correct, it needs to be a stable walking surface, it has to be compacted gravel, bluestone dust, something to make it, stable, but it does not have to be a hard, brick or paved.
How are you gonna keep cars out of the walkway and the overflow and in front of the building? Bumpers? Or- huh?
Yeah,
Bumpers.
you could do little
barriers.
curbs, little barriers, exactly, probably put little flower pots at every second spot or something, but something,
Yeah, 'cause
if
people start pulling across the gravel walkway, then you're kind of.
Yeah.
They'll walk
Right,
down
but
behind.
but it's gonna, right, it'll be, yeah, we haven't gotten to that level of detail yet, but yes, you're absolutely right, just as you can read the distinction between parking and walkway on the site plan, that same distinction will need to be readily apparent to people pulling in.
Yeah, right.
Pulling in, whatever that device is,
Some
but
device.
some type of visual marker and
Yeah.
even a physical blocker, but maybe somebody can,
Like the front of shops, they have those
Destroyed.
curb
Yeah.
type things in the ground just to keep the vehicles.
exactly.
Huh?
Right, keep them from going through the store.
Well, that's true. I was in a car once where those didn't work.
But even curbs, even the change in material, like I said, I mentioned, bluestone dust, but having a change in gravel material with those curbs, I think will be plenty.
So what would be the options for something like this? I mean, I can picture like, this concrete, things, what else could you possibly use?
So can't precast manufacturers for each individual parking space to set down curbs and they can
Yeah,
pin them to the ground with
With
some
rod.
rebar. And
yeah.
that's in a situation like that, that's usually what,
And how high would those be?
they're about 8 inches high.
Yeah, and is this concrete we're talking about?
It is concrete,
Okay.
yeah, they're just placed with a machine and they're.
Yeah. all right,
Well,
fine.
having that dumpable or behind just like-
Yeah, I think you need some sort of barrier, because people, even if it's different.
Yeah.
Materials, especially in
The
winter,
program runs mostly in the winter. That's what the school year, so-
yeah, and so you might not even see the difference in materials.
Yeah, there has to be
Exactly.
something there to prevent a car from sliding past, where they're hoping to park into, the area where people would be walking.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I think it'll work well.
For those spots, the concrete curb.
Oh, we certainly agree with the point, and thank you, and I think if the board is comfortable with having flexibility at that point, if it's something that could be written as a condition that there be
We'll say a barrier.
a physical barrier
Yeah.
between pedestrian and cars, and then
That each
the
spot.
zoning administrator would be able to determine, hey, okay, this is legitimate,
Yeah.
or hey, this is.
I don't,
this doesn't cut it.
barrier means that, I think it's suffice if the board votes that as a condition, if we just say a physical barrier to keep the cars out of the walkway, can beat the cars going into the walkway. I don't care what it is. You
Keeps them out.
Well, so that sounds great. So everyone in the room, I believe, agrees that it's a good idea. So if the board is comfortable with the condition, assigning the responsibility for a barrier to Willowwell, and then AZ is comfortable in, checking that condition and saying, are they complying, yes or no? Then if that's an easy compliance condition, then that would work great, I think.
Well, you could also. I think we could also have an as-built site plan when everything's actually finally done, and you could put that on it. It's not a bad idea to have the as-built site plan anyway, just because you've got state stuff happening too.
It's mostly as built already.
I know, most of it. I know, but
I'm not sure how much more we would need to locate to turn it into an as-built.
well, but you don't know that because you don't have the state sign off yet, right? You might do little tweaks with the state.
Yeah, likely not the parking, they wouldn't,
No, but just the site plan covers the whole property.
right. Yeah.
What are the Act 250 folks, gonna be looking at?
Act 250 looks at everything. They opened Act 250 claims that there are 10 categories, there are, as I
Well,
counted.
count some categories. There's a lot
There,
more
as
now.
I count 26, and that's the number I use, and every application that is not an administrative application runs through all 26 of those criteria. A lot of that groundwork has already been done. I already have preliminary approvals in place from from the ag agency that Aaron Thomas went through.
Yeah, you're amending.
Historic
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. Is it major or minor?
It's just.
It would probably be a regular, because of the change in use, it wouldn't be a minor.
Yeah.
It would be a minor amendment unless there were issues, unless people from the public came in and raised serious issues that the Act 250 commissioners then determined could elevate it
I
to.
thought they already made the call whether it's major or minor. No?
Not for this.
Not
Okay.
for
Okay.
this, not for the school.
We're waiting to get,
But-
so to submit for Act 250, we need the town approval. first.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, I forgot that.
But there are three, for Act 250, actually three levels. There's administrative,
No, I know.
minor and major,
Yeah,
right?
I figured we're past administrative because of the change of use.
Exactly.
It would be nice, but,
It would be, but thank you, like I said, a lot of that outreach is well underway or completed by this point.
yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about circulation and safe pedestrian connections to on-site parking. Third is demonstrate they have incorporated landscape features such as shrubs, trees, walkways, gardens, open space, blah, 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 all types. It's a long list. Into a design to reduce any impacts of the use of the property might have on neighboring properties and will enhance the appeal of the proposed use. Parcel shall incorporate street trees along the highway frontage to establish a canopy, but that's in
For streets.
on public highways. Is there any landscaping features or that you want to point out?
The main feature to point out is the great efforts that we've gone to preserve that block of trees there, because I'm not, it may not be easy for everyone to see, looking at, to get a sense of size and scale, looking at plans. This building envelope is tiny for a school. This parcel may be 2.69 acres, but the huge majority of that is an archaeological buffer that can't be disturbed extending north. That building envelope is only about 0.3 acres. It's extremely small. And the existing trees are occupying almost a third of the building envelope that's not going to be built. So that is the retention of those trees within the designated building envelope, as we've been saying, is wonderful for Wren's Nest Forest Preschool. It has the engineers and, trying to fit best solutions around it. The only other, what I looked at actually was possibly having some, accent trees, fruit tree, shade tree maybe off the southwest corner, but there's so much landscaping all around there. The archaeological buffer cannot be cleared. So given everything, all the natural vegetation that this site is going to retain and that we've really done everything we can to work around, we haven't dropped on a gratuitous tree or two.
How big?
No, go ahead, Ted.
How big are these trees?
They're nice.
They're
They're pretty well
short,
established.
Very big
Yeah,
trees.
there's some nice trees.
So,
Sure.
is there any danger of the trees falling on your building?
There was, but we took the ones down.
Okay. Yeah, because these days, with the weather that
Oh,
we have,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've dealt with them.
that would be a
It's-
real shame.
It's
that-
tucked right up, but. I
Yeah.
had to work with you guys.
Yeah.
We took
Remind me.
poplars down.
What's the-
Yeah.
this,
Yeah,
square footage of the existing, the school building, how much?
14.
And what is it on the plan there? Can't read it. So the dimension of the building?
It's not on this site plan,
Yeah.
but we submitted, with part of our original submission, we submitted the
Yeah.
architectural plans.
Yeah, can you just remind me what it is?
AZ, do you have the architectural plans? Drawing, there you go, A 102 or A 103 should have the building dimensions. I don't, okay, yeah, the dimensions appear on the right hand window there, but, yeah.
Okay,
There may not, whatever there.
all right. Well,
They're there.
all right, well, I can, that'll be something that goes in the decision.
They're,
So I can find that. Is it single story?
Mhm.
Yeah.
With a basement.
With,
looking about 32 by 68.
2 by 68.
Yeah, rough reading of that. Does that sound right? 68 by
No.
32? No?
No.
Support this.
That's
Let me
lot bigger
see.
than 1,400 square feet.
Well, I think that's because you're counting
No,
the
they've
porch.
got-
Oh, I'm counting the porch. I'm
Yeah.
counting the porch.
So it's 60 by
60 by
60 by 24.
24.
60 by 24
Okay.
is the foundation, and then there's the L-shaped porch also.
Oh, yeah.
40.
Yep.
All right, so. Any other questions about landscaping and screening?
I will also say that we are in this development, we are the farthest north, so we are tucked away up in the corner without much neighbor, and because lot 2 is undeveloped, there's not a lot of neighbor disturbance for us to do.
And on that other side of you, it goes
well.
down pretty
It
steep,
goes
so
down steep.
no one's gonna be developing there, right?
And there's a lot of wetlands.
It goes down right into.
So like,
wetlands.
that's not gonna turn into houses
Ever.
ever. Okay.
That's floodplain.
It's all wetlands and floodplain down there.
Yeah, you can see here, this is the wetland boundary here, and then it immediately goes into the wetlands here,
Okay.
and then that's the slope.
All right, outdoor storage of trash, what are we doing?
So the trash and recycling, we called it out, is thank you, AZ, right where AZ's hand is, allow for bins
Southwest
outside, right against the building at that corner.
So, supposed to be screened from public view, but there's no public on the west side. Cause it's all wetland, right?
Looks like that, there's not, we didn't draw in a 5 by 8 enclosure or something, because it'd be more for bears than public view. I think the overall site plan might show the kind of the scale of this a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you're pretty far from the road.
Yeah,
There.
well, it says shall be screened or hidden from public view. That means other people. Not necessarily public highway.
This is the lot here.
Yeah.
and These are all the neighbors, and then the bears, of course.
Yeah,
One section of privacy fence.
yeah,
Even off that,
just come
Off
up the
this- off
southwest
that
corner
south side.
to screen it from the parking lot.
Yeah, sure. But Mother Nature's gonna strain it from the west.
And you got sloped down.
sure, absolutely, if the board get more comfortable actually putting in a line of screening there, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the size of the bins that you use, Tasha.
They're just like the regular R&L ones.
Toters.
Okay, so my thought
Rolls.
would be for screening, maybe 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet long, something like that. And
5 feet high or something.
5 feet high.
I mean, the screening comes in 4x4 sheet, 4x8 sheets, so
Yeah.
just keeping solid pieces is better than piecemealing together, so maybe like 4x5.
Come out 4 feet, 5 feet high. I think that's,
Yeah, so, shall means shall, so we don't get to just wave something like that. So the next one is criteria, site-specific criteria 5, applicant shall demonstrate how the structure fits within and adds to the character of the area in which is proposed new construction shall be compatible with design scale, mass, height with the significant buildings within the immediate area. And so we've got a 24 foot by 60 foot structure. forgotten, is it clapboards or steel or? it's
It looked like board and batten.
Or that painted, green, like a dark green, it looks like.
Easy, I think if there are folks who are, you're sharing your screen with, I think that, A201, the building elevations. There you go, so the color here is red, you said it's actually green, okay, yeah.
I don't know.
So very.
So that looks like a two-story building. Yeah, is there an attic above the?
No, I believe that's the space up there, roof trusses and just an open space, but there's no,
Okay.
there's no second story and, I'm sorry.
It's vaulted in the middle, with one of those ceilings on either end.
Vault in the middle with
With
lower
no
soffit.
attic space, because it was too much of a.
Yeah. And the roof is what? Steel,
Galvanized.
galvanized? Cordless
Corrugated.
panels, corrugated? All right,
Not stations.
6 involves the village planning area, we're not in that. 7 is applicant shall demonstrate they comply with all stormwater requirements of the state and have adequately addressed drainage on the site so as not to create ponding. So you're in the process of that. Exterior lighting, remind me what we're doing?
So-
Wall packs.
John Moyers last time asked that we use a dimmer version, we haven't ordered those yet, but we are.
These memos.
Yes.
How are we gonna refer to those? So it's not those?
It's those with less lumens, right?
What lumen level am I using here?
What are the choices?
Uh,
They haven't been ordered.
It's like around 1700, 1900, or 18 and
I
a
don't
half.
remember what from the is it in the minutes?
I don't think it was.
I don't.
He just requested lower, use
The lowest.
the lowest possible is what his request.
Alright,
was.
so- Yeah. so-
Yeah, I don't think we talked about lumens at the last.
Yeah, so what's it gonna be?
John wants.
So the 17, this, yes, the left hand, I could,
Mhm.
17,
1761.
61, okay.
What are you looking at there, is he?
The Norman.
No, what is sheet, is it?
This is the,
Exterior lighting.
yeah, exterior lighting, wall pack, 6 exterior lighting.
So,
And how many of those are there going to be?
so there are 10 of it, so this one back, so we've, backing a little bit, there are 3 separate types of lighting that we have proposed here. There are 10 slim packs that the version we just looked at there, and those are 5 along each sidewall.
Long
They're
side.
shown, yes, they're shown in the plan there, and they're also shown as those 5 fixtures, yes, on the building elevations.
Isn't that a bit
I guess-
overkill? Do you need?
I get, well, the walkway,
Just for the,
the walkway runs the length of the
I
front.
see.
right,
So I've got 6 there.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, then it's
I did
changed,
have
since
some
my
revised, I think.
A202 is different.
oh, really? I hadn't even noticed on the elevation, so, well, the last I'd say we had, the 5 works out symmetrically.
Yep, so 5
Oh,
on each long side.
Right, so 5 slim packs on each side, and then the other one that we had discussed at the last hearing was 2, so those were the slim packs against the walls, we had 2 what we called wall packs up at the gable ends.
Wait, these are the wall packs. I didn't pull up the slim packs.
No, those are the slim packs. Oh,
These are
sorry.
These are the slim packs. Here's the wall pack.
No, those are slim. He calls it
It's
slim.
this at the
Oh.
top,
Yeah, it's,
the files mislabeled.
The files was
I
labeled.
think that, yeah, sorry about the, right, so those are the
Gable end.
downlights for the gable ends, and that as we discussed at the last meeting. We just want to make sure that the angle of that light does not cast off the property line.
Right.
I think we're gonna be fine, because that mounting height is gonna be on the order of 15 feet. And the distance to the property line there is probably on the order of 80 feet, and so it's a pretty shallow distance for that light to reach out to any of the
So
property.
how many of those,
2,
Right, just on the either side of the door.
Correct, and those are shown on the site plan with a note.
Are those the ones on each table?
Yes.
So they're not the ones on the side of the door.
Oh, so the ones on the side of the door, that's good. So we're gonna have 12 of the ones, 5 on each side, and the ones on each side of the door are the same as the ones on the long
So
side.
how change those to goosenecks?
It says gooseneck on here.
Yeah, we
so-
changed the gable end ones to gooseneck.
Oh, okay, so we used to have, again, we used to have 5 and 5
And then
on the
2
sides,
over the
we used to
door.
have 2 in the gable, and then a gooseneck under the porch, right next to the front door. So that front wall had a wall pack up high at the gable, and then under the porch roof, a gooseneck.
Which one? The gooseneck.
There.
So how many goosenecks?
One, just right next to the front door. But that's what we had, into what Tasha just mentioned, she'd like to do, just choose. If I, correct me if I'm wrong, Tasha, you're looking to swap. The 2, what we call those wall packs up at the gable, to
Right at the
use
peak of the
goosenecks
gable.
for those.
Yeah.
So that would leave us with the 10 slim packs, 5 on each side, and a total of 3 goosenecks. 1 at each gable wall. Up high, and then 1 down low, right next to the front door.
Yes. Sounds really convincing, doesn't it? I think we just stick with the 1 gooseneck by the door. And stick with the other, because
13 lights total.
does it have to be, okay, yeah, seems like a lot of like.
But three different.
Yeah.
3 different systems, the slim packs along the sidewalls. The two lights up high,
In the peak.
right, and those are the ones that Tasha was saying, she's interested in switching from that RAD wall pack. To a gooseneck, right? It would be,
Here.
right,
Yes.
so
All right, so that's 2 so are the 5 on the front, is it 4 slim packs and 1 gooseneck by the front door? I just wanna get the numbers straight, and I'm not.
sure, yeah. Here,
And then we have 2 of something on the side elevation next to the door.
You know what, that is confusing because we didn't have,
Is there,
we only had,
or a
One
gooseneck by
gooseneck.
that door? If you're gonna put a gooseneck here, can you put a gooseneck?
yeah, I think that was, we only had, this I think was an over, this was the gooseneck here. I apologize for that confusion, I did not realize that there was conflict between the building elevations and our site plan. Izzy, can you please pull up the S2 site plan? And again, I apologize for the people on TV not being able to see.
The updated ones?
Yes, please.
Got a lot of files open here.
And again, the architectural elevations, we did not prepare
okay.
those, they were.
I just wanna be clear, that's all.
Right, so in my opinion, the clearest communication on the lighting is on this site plan right here. And what it shows is along each sidewall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Of those downlight slim packs that hug the wall, they pretty much like the wall surface
Yeah,
and
okay.
the walking surface.
5 on the front,
And those lights are called out in a note right here, 10
Yeah.
slim pack light fixtures.
okay,
Now, the next note here, and I put all the notes together right
all
here.
right, yeah.
So the next note was for 1 gooseneck light fixture, which was gonna be right by the door, right by the front door, go
Yeah.
under the porch roof, so only
Yeah.
about 6 feet high,
Yeah.
right, 7 feet high. And then the third note was for 2 wall pack fixtures, which were gonna be those RAB wall packs
Yeah.
up high at each gable end.
I
At the
think
peak.
that's good, let's do that. That's-
Okay,
Yes.
right, so
Please just that.
13 lights total, 5 on each side,
Slim packs,
the slim packs, right?
yeah,
The 2 wall packs up high at the gable ends, and then just the
One
one
gooseneck.
decorative gooseneck
all
right
right.
by the
just
front
let-
entrance.
Just let me get that down or I'll forget.
Oh. We did spec with the electrician, the next to the one on New, but complicating things, but. To the left of this door is another gooseneck,
So
Okay.
14 lights,
yeah.
14 lights, 2 goosenecks, Two
Two
more.
goosenecks over the, over the front
Yeah, this
doors.
is an actual door. We did the walkthrough with the electrician, but it's. the same.
And we might call that the east entrance, if you're looking to
Sure.
define it, because.
Oh, really?
So the front entrance is right here, so
Oh,
we put
okay.
that gooseneck by the front entrance, and
That's
what I
good.
just heard Tosh say is that. There's a side entrance over here, so
You're
we'd
right.
like to
There's
have
two.
another decorative gooseneck,
There are
light.
doors on this building.
right? So I think what we'd say is we'd like to add a gooseneck if possible,
Yep, on the east elevation,
yes,
but
right,
not on the west,
Two
there's a
of
door
them.
there too.
No, but
not in the west, I think.
It's just those two doors,
Just those two.
those two doors. would
Just
be-
the front and the
I
southeast.
think
will
that's
have
just a
to fix.
window.
So that's three, so we got one on the south elevation over the door. One gooseneck and then a gooseneck over each of the doors on the east elevation.
Just on the southeast door.
Just on this one, right?
That's the place for the gooseneck, not on that door?
The other door goes into a bathroom. That one is like a main entrance bathroom.
All right.
So the two, what we call the more formal entrances. And there are two other in the building, there's the one on the west side and for the bathroom, but just for those two. Kind of main public entrances, the front entrance on the south. And then that main public entrance on the east.
And then wall packs up the gable and on the south and the north.
Yes, the two wall packs as they're called out on the S2 site plan. So the only change to that S2 site plan would be adding one gooseneck light fixture at the eastern entrance.
But since we're talking about lights, how are you lighting up the parking lot?
We only run till 4:30, so there are about 4 weeks of the year that we leave
Right.
right when it's barely dark.
So no lights in the parking lot.
They haven't been designed yet. We feel like it's rare that kids get picked up in the dark. We're pretty much wrapped up by then.
I said my kids went through the Bellwether School in Williston. Off Brownell Road, and we didn't have parking lot lights. I think we were out there one night for like the winter solstice, bonfire or something like that.
That's one of those,
It's
honestly,
normal.
if they decide that they need parking lot layout, they ask for a site plan amendment.
Well, it's part of pedestrian circulation, it's our issue.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody feel, the absence of, lighting to light the walkway near the park? To add lighting any place, the absence of lighting other than on the building is an issue. I mean, there are ways to light the walkway or light,
Yeah, I think.
variety of ways.
I think there's gonna be some kind of a light out there. I mean, that's where the safety issue is. Really. I don't know.
What
I
are,
mean, with pickup and drop off at the times they are, you really don't hit periods of darkness hardly ever. So my
Yeah.
daughter went there year before last, and I don't know that I can remember a time that we had any challenge getting from the car to the building in terms of lighting.
but what about events,
Yeah, the-
school events? Yeah,
Maybe
right,
it's
evening at
supposed
all?
to be Saturday, we'll put the candles along.
I would think that'd be a state regulation also, but
They leave it to us, and well, yeah, I'm not aware of any, maybe on certain places and buildings, but.
Is the wall pack, they're gonna put at the gable, that could be adjusted out so it sprays out to cover the parking lot, but not to exceed their property line. That is an adjustable light.
Like right here.
The one on the, put up at the gable.
Yeah.
would be cascading out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be concerned about having just separate like light posts,
Mhm.
just plowing, kids,
Mhm.
maintenance, and I don't mean to belittle the point, you're absolutely right, especially when you've got kids and, parents and, you want, just as we're taking care to, I think you don't have kids.
I just don't think I've ever been in a school, or preschool or kindergarten that the parking lot wasn't lit up, but maybe I haven't been to all of them either, but I mean, it's just.
And
That's where the safety issue, as far as I'm concerned.
And conversely, I was trying to think the last time my kids are teenagers now, but the last time I've been at a school when it was dark out and we needed lights, at least
I mean, it
for.
doesn't need it, but
I don't think Bristol Elementary has a lit parking lot,
maybe not.
for instance. I don't think I've ever seen lighting there.
I don't remember. It's dark at 4:20 in
Yeah.
the middle of December.
We have two pickups, so pick up at, most of the kids get picked up at 2:30 and then about 5 stay until 4:30. And most of those get picked up even before 4:30. Yeah. So it's a short window in the dead of winter when it's just barely dark out.
Would the board, so Chris had an idea of adjusting that southern RAB wall pack up there. Is that something the board would feel comfortable with in terms of getting through, through the hearing to say, that light need to be adjustable to, provide some measure of light for the parking lot or.
Yeah, the trade-off on these things are safety versus light pollution being on all the time. So, but those can be controlled. What do we do, Chris, on was it the fire station? There's some place that we control the lighting with
Yes, there's the firehouse department.
Yeah, but also I think the building that Blitter's still.
Yeah, that whole Bristol Stony Hill development.
Yeah, aren't they on some sort of monitor that they turn off by?
Yeah, they motion, so when they trip on after 10 o'clock, they're only at like 80% lumen.
Which isn't gonna happen very much, but,
Yeah.
I don't know the jargon, but the development down behind the firehouse and Firehouse Lane. We dealt with this and one of the, controls was it lights up for a brief period of time and that's gonna actually be rare. Because, so maybe you only need it for a month. But some tickets run over and
Right.
they wish you had it.
Because one of the things too, if you put a motion slash photo sensor on it. It comes on when it needs to, when it feels it's dark, it's automatically gonna come on.
Yeah, but you don't want it to stay on.
Right, that's why you did the motion sensor with like a lot of them will do like 5, 10, 15, 30-minute on periods,
Yeah.
and then they shut off automatically.
Yep.
Automatically?
Yep.
That's cool.
Abracadabra. I mean, so we only really need. Well, if we had the one at the gable. Doing that, or should there be more than one on that south side? Is that south? Yeah, but and directed out a bit. But timed. So that it doesn't stay on all night necessarily, it probably won't come on much, but. I don't know enough about how they cast. And that's up so high to the top of the gable, I don't know how effective it would be up that high, but also to get the spread. You might need to tip it out more, whereas if you had two, maybe, on that gable end and not placed as high, but were directed out, it might give you the illumination.
Possibly, but I'd be reluctant to have lights lower facing out because you'll see those light sources. And actually, the gable, in relation to the depth of the parking lot, the gable is not actually very high. That light might only be mounted at a height of 15, 18 feet. But that parking lot, those spaces are 18 feet deep, so you see from the building to the first spot, you've got, probably 15 feet plus another almost 20 for the spot, and then another 20, so. your ratio, the light is only 15 feet high, but the parking lot's 60 feet. You know, all the way to the property line, the spaces are in tighter,
Yeah,
but,
I just don't know, I don't know enough about it to know if it's gonna. We're talking about some lighting in the parking lot to enhance safety during the dark period of the year. And, or if there's a late event for some reason. And is the existing light, and sighted up at the peak of the gable or 50, wherever it's been, here it's in the peak, if that looks like more than 15 feet. But is that gonna do the job? Or is it gonna do the job depth wise coming off the building? But is is it gonna have enough of a bandwidth of light to at least light those front parking lots?
I would argue that we probably will not have evening events. I mean, what time does a preschooler go to bed? 3 to 5-year-olds go to
Yeah.
bed at 6:30, and so I can't imagine the chances of having a late night super dark event. I think most of our events wrap up.
Alright, alright, so maybe it's only a month a year,
daylight,
but
you know.
maybe it's only a month a year and they won't come on much, but the question is. The depth that the light comes out and the width of the beam all I'm asking is one light gonna do it? For those front parking spots, or do we need to put 2 on that
You
building?
know, the thing that I'm looking at this thing, you're gonna have a light. The light, the only thing that makes any sense to me would be to have the light here, shining back onto the back, to this area here.
That's your, off the, in the middle of the.
This is
in
the driveway.
You don't want a lot in the middle of the
Yeah,
parking lot.
but so.
You can have it on the side.
no, I think,
I mean,
So,
if we needed
so
to
what
do
about,
one, I think
would that
on
be,
the
would that?
little
be-
cutout would do better.
Here,
Yeah, right there would do better.
right there is where it would go.
Okay.
Because we can't put anything, this is, plows have to come through
Oh,
here.
okay, all right.
So that, right,
So
so
we-
snow
All right,
plows.
so that would make sense. to me.
Right, so I think if my sense is, and again, I'm not a luminologist, but my sense would be. I think it could be more effective and have a better coverage of the lot. If we had to have a second light, to have a post here with the downlight that's spreading in the vicinity of the parking.
So right in that
And then
corner,
this
right in that
gable-
inside corner of the walkways.
Yes, I think that is the most centralized location for
Yeah.
a post mounted light.
And it's not
To
gonna mess
cast,
you
to
up.
cast light in the parking in a way that I'm fearful of putting more lights on the building to throw outward.
Well, that's what my question, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
why I agree.
So
Alright, that makes sense.
so I think my thought would be, again, with me not being a luminologist and doing the lighting calculations. My first preference would be to use the RIB wall pack up high, which, as you pointed out, might even be higher than 15 feet, might even be 20 or 24, something like that, which works in our favor of providing better light down here. And so I think my preference would be to see if we can accommodate a safe lighting for the parking with an adjustable wall mount at the gable, at the south gable end.
Mhm.
That would be, as Chris said, on a motion sensor and photo sensor.
Mhm.
So it's not coming on in the middle of the daylight when a cat walks by. So we have a motion sensor, photo sensor with the timer so that it turns off. And if only if that light is found not to be suitable, then we have a secondary plan B. I'd like to be, just knowing how much effort the school has already just to get a school operational. I'd prefer if the board could approve it with one light and say, if it's not safe, we just need more light, then the school is responsible for adding a second light. Rather than requiring it right out of the gate, knowing what they already have to go through. So we realize that
We're
it's,
not gonna know till the solstice.
yeah, so I realize that it's asking the board to say, okay, well, putting a little bit of faith in the school, say, all right, get a light there that's safe, and if not, then we need to do, add one, but at least we have what I think is a really viable location.
And I would just like to say that, like, obviously the safety of these kids is our highest priority. When we design this parking, we talked to Scott, about design this parking. to
Yeah,
have this
no, I get that.
layout, and
Right,
our teachers are very skilled licensed teachers, so just care a lot about these kids. Not to say that we're not, but like if anything didn't feel safe down the road, I think that we would adapt and change it. And yeah.
right. Noise shall be regulated in accordance with 751. Does anybody have any more questions about lighting before we move on? Okay, 751, we're in the part of the. We're in a district where all the 751 cares about is excessive noise at the property line, so. I don't see an issue. Does anybody see an issue with noise? And signage, what are you doing for signage? I don't remember. Is there a sign?
There's a wall mounted sign,
Mhm.
that I believe appeared in. Depending on one of the drawings, it may not, in this one, it's
I saw it.
It's right there.
oh, yes, there it is.
Okay. I
So
didn't see
there's
it.
a wall mounted sign, next to the door.
Okay. So I'm sure that conforms to 740 to 748 hours of operation. Your normal day is what?
8 to 4:30.
Is the school day, and as we had noted in the project narrative, the staff typically arrive 30 to 60 minutes ahead of time to get ready, and we'll stay an extra 30 minutes or so to clean up and lock up.
Yeah, so staff will be there till 5.
7:30.
That's
Okay, Monday through Friday. And you're off for the summer, you go all summer.
We run with the school calendar. Although we may run some summer programs there that will be along the same vein. Same number of children, same number of staff. Shorter day.
All right, and we're not in an overlay district, so that takes care of that. Any other questions? For these folks, let me just collect my thoughts. Here we go. Okay, so. Just make sure I got it right. We've got 10. Slim packs, 5 on each side on the long side. 2 goosenecks.
At the entrances.
At the entrances, and then. A wall pack at each gable end.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Since I've been taking notes. Nobody has any questions? Sorry. So I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use application subject to the following conditions. It obtain the stormwater permit because that's one of the site-specific criteria. Install a panel for screening coming off the southwest corner of the building to screen the trash receptacles from view of the parking lot. Minimum 4 feet long and 5 feet high. Of your choice. We install physical barriers at each parking space on the plan, including the grass ones, to keep cars out of the walkway, since the walkway is the central safety feature. Lighting shall be as follows. We have a total of 10 slim packs, 5 on each side. And the sides are the east and west elevations, a wall pack at each gable end, so that's the near the peak. That's the south and the north sides, and a gooseneck light over each entrance. The wall pack on the south elevation shall be adjusted to illuminate the parking spot. And the light shall be on, these lights shall be on timers to and light photosensor, thanks, to control when they come on, when they turn off, and when they're activated by motion, how late they stay on, in order to minimize light when the generation of light when it's not needed. And last one is the submission of as-built plans to reflect all these changes and the ones we talked about that aren't on the plans currently. Those are the conditions I've got.
Well said. That hit everyone else.
Second. Any other questions before we vote? Discussion? Brenda, are you good?
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Brenda's a yes. We've got 5-0. So once I need the minutes from the stenographer, which she generates them off the tape pretty quickly, but once I've got those, I can write up the permit. And I'll try to get it out. I'm gone for the first 2 weeks in July, so we'll be to the latter half of July, and then you're on a 30-day clock. For appeal clock before it's final.
So assuming we can start stormwater submission, wastewater.
Yeah, you gotta do that anyway.
Exactly, so thank you, so this is great, this frees us up for our next steps to go ahead and to take this exact same plan and get into Act 250 and to run with the detailed engineering for that gravel wetland.
Yeah.
And so we'll hit the ground running tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
With the
so
rest of our permit.
when you submit the as-bills, give us some architectural plans that actually match what's
Update.
happening.
Yes, we
And we
can,
got extra lights on this, and it's right next, it's all that, but the lights are off on this as we talk, so.
yes, that will, we'll get as.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but as-bills, we just run into it, Chris can tell you too, it's really hard for the zoning administrator later on to figure out what was supposed to be done by looking at the decision and then looking at the font documents, which got adjusted some.
We totally agree with you, but at the end of these projects, we get sick of charging people.
Yeah, I know.
But I tell you,
seeing the lights that were different on this plan, on the architectural drawings, different from what the architect had told us originally. Was precisely the point I made at the start of this meeting
Yeah.
about having the same information presented on two separate
Right.
sets of drawings, so. That's exactly the type of contradiction that we want to avoid
Exactly.
with the
Just adds-
stormwater, so.
It's just a mess later on.
Exactly, I agree, so we will have this updated and consistent.
All right,
Who does that?
any other discussion? We don't have any minutes to, right? Okay, so we're adjourned.
Great, thank you, folks, appreciate it. Hey, we have our homework to keep doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.